First of all, cheers. Thanks for coming out. This is
pass up opportunities, man. I mean, what if it's but
it won't. It can't. Not when we talk about cool stuff like this, have a good group like this, and have awesome work.
As long as it's easy, it's not high pressure or something. My career is not at stake.
We do.
I like to throw this one. Oh, good.
Army
might not like it. Very true. True indeed. You might not like the fact that I'm drinking and talking about leadership. My last boss was very anti-alcohol. He wasn't critical about who drank, but he would everything.
This is one of the problems we have.
But I think I think your umbrella is where it should be. I mean, it's going to be. You can keep talking about meat. That's pretty transparent. Come on. You can have some too if you want to talk about it's just things you kind of take with leadership. If I sit in the fire pit.
It'd be good. Actually, we take that concept, right? After about I would say 10 interviews. Yeah. We invite all the interviews to back together. Around the fire pit. Just go. Do it. All right, so I'm posting it on Facebook and Twitter. Do you know what the problem was last time?
You know the problem last time? I don't know what I said this time though. Okay.
I should put this on mine too.
Yeah, man. Tell your piece.
As soon as you post it, I'll shoot.
Yeah. Tell your piece to jump on. You want to mention Jesse and Zach? Okay. I don't think I'm getting one particular beer. I'm getting a multitude of many.
Yeah. That's kind of like a.
Okay, I'm waiting on Sorry, hoping I spell it right.
Whoa.
Yeah. Bring her aboard. Actually, I should. She's got a lot of great leadership. Dude, I think you need to get in my business. Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is more studio in-home. Show notes.
Oh, okay, it's real now.
Let's do this. I'm going to turn the mic on. Have you heard any of our other podcasts before?
I meant to listen to it, but I got caught talking to somebody else. Standard intro music to your podcast. Yeah.
What is going on, folks? Welcome to episode 10 of Leadership on Tap show. And this week we're doing a live interview with CW3 promotable Mark Hickman. Here. And we're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff here with relating to leadership and what would this be about talking, some brews and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking some beers here at Harmon Brewery and Eatery. And if you're joining us on live, we're live streaming right now. So if you're listening to this on our podcast, make sure you check us out next time live if you want. We're live recording these each week, and that's why we're doing it on location. We're having a little bit of fun about it. And we're going to talk to Tristan. What's our leadership goal for the week?
Actually, welcome to Leadership Tap.
Great to be back. Exciting.
Yes.
Exactly.
The leadership quote. My responsibility is getting all my players playing with
the name not the one on the back. It's actually very. It is, yeah. It was actually from our guest. He threw that out our way, so that's great. We appreciate that, Mark. Thanks.
Without further ado,
as we always do, leadership on tap as we begin.
we're going to go ahead and talk about some awesome moves that we got in front of us. Like Mike
mentioned before, at Harmon Brewery and Eatery on Pacific Ave, Washington. We want to give a big shout out to Jesse and the owner and the manager collectively that were able to speak. Invited us to a beers and food, which was awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and go around the horn with Mark Hickman. I'll start us off. I've actually got the
Puget Sound
right here. It's got a 5.1
40 IBU rating, International Bitterness Unit.
Very gold standard beer.
You're actually
You want to say it's probably the most smoothest
smoothest
beer I've ever had. I'll be honest. Out of 5 stars
for foreigners, I'm going to go ahead and make this 5 out of 5. This is a great beer.
Chocolate notes in the bow.
Actually very smooth. It's awesome. Chocolate. So, again, come try out the
Very good. Cheers, guys. All right, Mark.
what do you got?
I am going to. It's mostly I'm a huge IPA fan, and they have a fantastic idea. I think Mike's going to be talking about it here in a second. Their style here, quite honestly, makes me want to go. And incredibly smooth style. I want to have a ice cold Guinness out of brewery in Long Island. And almost remiss to say this competes in the year. Once again,
I will round it out here with the Point Defiance IPA, and like Mark, I prefer the IPAs as well. I think it's a prerequisite, obviously, for living in the Northwest. They're staples of there. So, I like it, and very similar to last week. We reviewed Inch. They had a great. I think there's a really fine balance between that grapefruit citrusy taste and
Oh,
man. This is an IPA. I like it. I like it a lot.
German brewery on top.
I've been here for 3 years. I've yet to drink, well, until tonight at Harvard Brewery, and I missed out.
that is awesome. So we got 5 for the quarter, 5 fast down for the IPA,
Harmon Brewery.
awesome job, guys. Here,
Get Jake and
Zach.
Zach and we in the show for where you feel it's an area you definitely should check it out.
So with that, we're kind of transitioning here into our feature section. We have the pleasure and the privilege
He's down with Mark Hickman as a CW3 promotable, Chief Warrant Officer promotable 3 in the Army, and for a couple of years. South Carolina, and we talked together about the schoolhouse as a general. For those of you who are not in the Army, that's the HR, human resources for the Army. So that's kind of what we do. And really got to know Mark very well, and just phenomenal stand-up guy who really does it, not just professionally, but personally. He's a good friend of mine. It was kind of a no-brainer to bring him on the show. Before we bring him in, give me a quick background on his personal and professional background. He's from Jacksonville, Illinois originally, but really Montana is where he calls home. Enlisted back in the Montana National Guard as a 75 Delta. So those of you that have been around the world know that's kind of our
cool.
Was made back in '92. He's really been around all over the place. He's a warrant officer, basic and advanced course grad, warrant officer ILB, which back in his day was the Air Force. So he's actually got a Bachelor of Science and Resources. So he's really well versed in educationally, he's 12 years just as an enlisted soldier before he was appointed on scientific where he's been in a personnel services battalion. He still happens. Those of you that know anything about the HR world in the Army, those don't even exist anymore. That was what's that?
You say PSB?
Yes. Services battalion. Yeah. So he's in Germany. He served with 1st Armored Division. With, as I mentioned, Adjutant General School, Officer Basic and Advanced Course Instructor. He's been a senior AG or HR technician, former strength manager at I-Corps here at Joint Base Lewis and Port. So if you're stationed in the area here, go say hi to Mark. And right now, he's getting ready to move here in a couple of weeks to Alexandria, Virginia, where he'll be in a training with industry assignment. So if you know anything about those assignments, those are selection based. So he got picked. Brand. Without any further ado, Mark, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. Hopefully, I can expound on the topic. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, man. So I'm happy and excited to be able to kind of sit down and talk for a while and reconnect and maybe move this thing along in the right direction where you guys want to go, and hopefully I can contribute something to the audience and the ladies in the next table.
Yeah, we got a bunch of ladies.
And the worst thing to find it as well.
That's part of the deal about live recording on location.
You weren't excited until we started, though. So maybe they're listening in. I don't know.
There's the leadership and all the rest of it. Nice. So, Mark, about getting everybody, all the players, what's the resonance with you? You sent that to us as one of your favorite quotes. Maybe expound on
it. Leadership quotes are kind of fun thing. It's kind of fun to find a favorite one, So what does everybody do? I Google leadership quotes. It was kind of originally I was looking for something that had to do with leadership, but I found popular leadership quotes, and really that one really talked to me because I think that's one of the really true key pieces of leadership and trying to not only get people on board with your vision and stuff like that. You know, because you find a lot of folks that are generally, I don't want to say a lot of folks, but there are definitely people out there that are, you know, it's especially since obviously it's
the folks that are, you know, they're more worried about their contract.
But you look at those successful teams, those successful organizations, they're all focused on the same thing. They're all focused about winning the championship or, you know, reaching that end goal, say, at the beginning of the season, the beginning of the company, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and significant, you know, they're not on a stepping stone to the next place. And you have a true opportunity to make a real impact and actually try to get after.
Awesome. Hey, you also have another you are gaining credit for saying. What is that? How does that go?
My quote is "Luck is for suckers."
Luck is for suckers.
And it's true. You know, it originally started with athletic achievements. I mean, people always, you know, say before you go do something that's going to be hard.
They always say,
you know,
but at that point,
luck is not going to happen. It's the effort that you put into it, and the same thing with your the effort that you put into it. It's the dedication to it. It's not going to be something that just happens because you have to do it in the right time in the right place. It just doesn't happen. Luck truly is for suckers and lottery winners, I guess, because really, I mean, there is no luck when it comes to it. You put in the work, have the right idea, you assembled the right crew to get things done, and in the end, you know, it's those efforts that pay off. Because hey, you were lucky one day to be in the right place at the right time.
I like both quotes. The reason why I like them is because God has a correlation. Sports team, the things they train for are the type of event, and the preparation and hard work and dedication, like you mentioned, luck is not something that you find itself in, right? There's no, hey, let's hope for the best. You are hard work, you train, you do all the basic skills that you need to do to contribute. I like both of those.
Absolutely.
Just gonna step on a little bit. This reminded me as you talked about that sports. I actually ran a 40 miler today.
That was a bad day.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, anyway.
You were having some
you know, along those lines, talk to us a little bit about, you know, life outside of police stuff.
what do you do for fun?
I know that you're very active. You do a lot of different things. And that, you know, what is looking like there's going to be a better application of that.
I mean,
Not going to
jump in the water and swim and have one just funny because you actually have my the folks like
you're even better than me. A friend of mine,
he's like, this. I'm gonna go do swimming.
And you know, he jumped in the water. We all met for our childhood. We're out there, you know, swimming to say things like that. We spent about 100 yards to the buoy. He held on for dear life.
Trying to figure out how he was going to get back to shore.
He hadn't done the work. He hadn't done the effort.
And just came away to do this. And
I mean, it's kind of like
not just wrath.
You know, might actually got me into it.
I mean, quite honestly, do something. I should. And I know another one of our friends had
they always hanging up to the cool metal,
running this 50 game. But it was inspiring. Me too. I was like, these people are the same as me. You know, given the opportunity, the work that I too can do, some of that. Honestly, they were true inspirations for me to be able to get into what I do today. And had they not entered my life at that time, and going through a lot of stuff, I probably wouldn't be where I am. It kind of taught me the impact I'm going to have too, which is a pretty cool thing. And I mean, change every now and then. So yeah.
But Chad Henderson, he's mutual friends. He got me into ultra running and he's actually, Chad is
I talked to him. But talked about the waterfall effect. I mean, affect one person, they affect the next. And
so Mark, with that, there's a lot of different. There's a question that I like to ask. It's very broad, and it's when you go to people outside of the Army, not doing work in the Army, kind of philosophy on life, right? So that's kind of what helps guide you in what you do and spend your time with, what priorities are in front of you. But specifically, leadership on tap, what I'd like to ask is, what are your leadership? That's a very broad kind of question, but how do you answer that question? How do you say that leadership philosophy is influenced?
It's really an interesting question because when you come up talking to an officer, or there's the warrant officer cohort, and generally with the warrant officer cohort, you are technical specialist. Generally, at some point, you're going to go into command. And part of being in the command is sitting down and truly thinking about what your leadership philosophy is. And I've honestly never sat down and thought about my leadership philosophy. When I was NCO, the thing that I was in our Murphy Club, which is a pretty prestigious leadership NCO corps. And, going through a lot of that process and really learning of it. And it, to me, I believe that being a leader is about developing relationships. Number one, you cannot be a leader without developing a positive relationship, not only with your subordinates, but with your seniors and all of those folks that are going to help you to accomplish what you need to accomplish. You have to be accountable. You have to know your limitations. I mean, there is a lot of it's very hard to accomplish things that you are not able to accomplish, but understanding your limitations allows you to be able to reach out to those other folks, which comes back to building on those relationships. And really it's caring for people in your organization. And I think that's where the tricky part comes with a lot of folks, because it's very easy to talk the talk when it comes to caring for people in your organization. It's a much more difficult concept to actually talk that talk and actually truly be honest about it when you're doing it. Me personally, as a technical warrant, most of my money is made being really, really good at Army HR. I know Army HR ins and outs, especially at the operational and the tactical level. You get into strategic level, I'm starting to move into some of that, to where I can really look at the impacts of, full Army and national decisions and how they're going to impact the Army. But, to be effective in anything I do, I need to be able to meet those objectives, which in turn require me not necessarily to lead an organization, but really, especially in the kind of the position I'm in right now, is leading the profession of HR folks, and maybe it's warrant officers, it's enlisted, it's even officers as well too. It's just being an example, being somebody who is really good at what they do and is always available, not somebody who is unapproachable, not somebody who's going to be mad that somebody's calling them with what they believe to be a crazy question, but somebody who's actually going to train and try to build the next one behind them, because we won't be around forever. So I mean, it's kind of a cool thing with the Army. Nobody's irreplaceable, but we kind of have a responsibility to be able to create those folks too. But really, by leading a profession, I'm talking about providing experiential experiences, and sometimes creating creative ways to conform, or even creating new ways to meet those goals and mission sets that we have.
Awesome, good stuff. So, what would you say? You know, as I try to talk over our
ladies, come on, keep it down.
What would you say?
I know it.
Yeah,
They're really excited
that
about
was
that
amazing.
conversation. Amazing, Sarah, amazing.
Nice. So, share with us maybe a consistent characteristic that you feel is, you know, a part of those leaders in your career that have really impacted you.
No, before coming to this, I think it's such a key thing. You know, I really looked back at, because how do you truly define what a leader is? I mean, you can read 1,000 books and you can think that you have the knowledge, etc. But what it comes down to is those experiences that you've had and those people who have really demonstrated what leadership is to you in the past. You know, I have lots of folks. A consistent character that I saw with those folks really is character. It had a solid character. You knew that you could trust them. You knew that they were going to do the right thing. That they would, you know, that they were solid people. Honestly, they were just really good people, and I think it's really super important. They had credibility, whether it was because they truly knew their craft or they truly cared for the folks. You knew that it was something, you know, they were credible in what they do, and also that they trusted. Not only you could trust them, but they would trust you as well too. And they cared. It doesn't mean that I was always best friends with them. I mean, there was a lot of them that put my feet to the fire. I mean, there was a few of my closest mentors back when I was a junior soldier, and maybe go to our next talking point, you know, that actually busted me down a rank, you know, because, you know, I thought I was really good, but I had some deficiencies in my own character, you know, but like I said, they cared about me, and, you know, they cared about the mission, and they understood, you know, maybe some of the potential that I had. So they understand there were some steps that I needed to go through as well too. And, you know, but there's many folks in my past that honestly I find inspirational people those folks are incredibly hard workers. They're incredibly smart. And when it comes down to it, they care about you and your own well-being.
Now, Mark, there's not one person that comes top of mind that you would like to give a shout out to for help developing you as a leader.
I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to say one person.
Of course.
I think it cuts out. I mean, I can go all the way back to my very first NCOIC, Sergeant First Class Marta Nutt.
You just did it.
And I did. I'm going to call her out.
You just did it.
It's only because she was the first, right? You remember your first?
There you go.
And I'm telling you, that woman showed me what hard work is.
Awesome.
And she truly showed me what dedication was. And it wasn't that she held my feet to the fire.
Yeah.
She set an example. And honestly, it is an example that probably took me through my first 6-7 years as an enlisted soldier to saying, if you want to be successful, and it's not even being successful, if you want to be good at what you do and you want to be accomplished and be proud of yourself, you work hard.
Yeah.
You work hard. And she really instilled that piece in me that wanted to really take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Now, with that, what was her name, by the way? That you said you weren't going to mention one person, but you did, by the way.
Marta Nutt. I will never forget her. I will never forget her.
Nice. So with that, a personal inspiration, you know, can you share a particular story that really, you know, inspired you to influence your actions and behaviors as a leader in a positive manner?
With Sergeant First Class Marta Nutt?
No, not necessarily, but one that comes top of mind.
And see that I go back to my formative years, you know, and those leadership. I had some leaders that really, you know, took me aside. I had some leaderships that were very in my business, to say, because I required them to be in my business because I was not a fully well-rounded soldier at the time. I was very good at what I did, but I was not necessarily a punctual fella. So, you know, they got up into my business, you know, but at the same time, I think a lot of them recognized my potential. Is there any specific, honestly, you know, I wasn't, like I said, I may not have been the greatest soldier. I might not have been punctual, but they understood my potential. And even in those early days, they utilized that potential, and they put me in charge of something that was probably well beyond what I deserved. And by putting me in charge and giving me the responsibility, and it's something that I've always followed throughout my life, is you can give somebody else the responsibility to do something, make them accountable for it, give them a task. If you fail, it's your fault. If you succeed, it's your success. And I found that to be incredibly lasting throughout my career. I truly, because I think a lot of times we see junior soldiers, or we see junior folks that may not have the experience, and we may not trust in them because of maybe they have this or that. But when you give them something and saying, this is yours, you get to take responsibility for it, success or failure, it's amazing how accomplished they can do things. And they don't have to do it your way. They figure out a way to do it that's best for them. And I've been blown away time and time again by folks that, you give them something that they get to be responsible for. And I think it's something that we fail at sometimes, because I think that we immediately don't trust folks that are juniors. We assume that they're not smart enough to handle the responsibility. But they are. Folks want to do it, man. They want to feel good about themselves, about accomplishing something. And you give them that opportunity. I think it's something that
it inspires
really
growth.
stands out. Oh, absolutely. But I think, and it was one of my other quotes that I talked about too, is one of my most recent bosses. He said, you delegate to the point of being uncomfortable, and then you've delegated it up.
Yeah.
If you do not, you never delegate responsibility, but you can delegate the action for it. You always take responsibility if something fails.
And who shared that with you?
What's that?
Who shared that with
That was Colonel Michael Miller. He was our last, before the current I-Corps G1. That was, he always came in and he said, I'm going to delegate to the point where I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it really kind of struck with me too, because that's really,
it's a good way to look at it.
It truly is, because you have to have faith in other folks. You have to trust in those folks.
How many times have we seen those leaders that are good at what they do, but they're doing way too much themselves, right?
I won't point out anybody specific, but yes, folks listening might understand. But yes, there's a few folks. There's many. There's a lot of folks that I know, and you know what? It's unfortunate because they work way too hard. Sure. They have an organization. They have other folks that can do with it, but they refuse to let go of it.
You know what that tells me, being a previous commander multiple times and things, that tells me that person does not trust their organization or their subordinates. When you don't delegate down to the point where you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you probably, as a leader, and I'm generally speaking, you probably don't feel that there is a sense of trust that you may or may not have with your subordinates.
I think that's part of it, and I think that as folks have grown, they've become comfortable in what they do, and as they grow and they're responsible for more things, they still continue to, I want to focus on the stuff that I really know that I'm really good at. But you're right. I've had an experience where
But that's the job of the leader. Is that you have subordinate leaders, right? And you got to row them in the right direction.
And if you don't, and not speaking specifically about I'll speak specifically, but I know one of my first jobs, I came in behind somebody who did everything themselves. Yeah. And the people below them were not learning how to do it the correct way for themselves. And that was one of the first changes that I made. I changed really the organizational how folks did stuff. I made them accountable for what they did, and it was amazing how quickly things turned around. I didn't have to work 18 hours a day. I could work 8 hours a day and accomplish it, but there wasn't a bunch of people working 4 hours a day, and I was doing it. And everybody was contributing to the name on the front, not the name on the back.
Awesome, Mark. As we go through this, we're going to kind of switch the kind of question and answers, if you will. We're going to be less focused on you, and it's really going to be focused on what you can glean to other listeners, other leaders that may be listening right now that will end up hearing this. And so that's what kind of our questions will then kind of point towards.
Absolutely.
So as we go through this,
Yeah, I just wanted to interject that, a lot of the stuff we're talking about, what's fun and what's really exciting about this is, we're all kind of cut from the same cloth when it comes to our career backgrounds. We're all Army guys. We've served in the Army for many years, and so we kind of see things through that lens. But as I listen to you guys, kind of the back and forth here, what I'm kind of sensing is, a lot of this stuff we're talking about, it really applies across the board. It doesn't matter if you're in the Army, if you're in any other service. It doesn't matter if you're in corporate America, if you're an entrepreneur. Really, all this stuff we're talking about is applicable across the board. So I kind of want to, couch the next question in that lens that across the board, whether you're talking to an Army guy, a gal, or anybody else, what do you think it is that, or what do you recommend that young leaders, people that are coming up and really just getting started as leaders and have that fire to lead an organization, lead a team, what do you recommend to them in terms of what they should focus on to have the greatest impact in the organization they serve?
I think the number one thing any young leader needs to do is build a relationship. Build a relationship with the people, not only that matter, but the folks, I don't want to say don't matter, but even the little people, because it's amazing how much everybody impacts, and I think about it. I think of friends that I have on in the corporate side as well too, and sometimes I look at and I think, man, they could have a much bigger impact if they were just to train, to coach, kind of like we do in the Army too, the folks, and I wonder, what would that mean to the bottom line of their company? If they really truly took the time, the effort, and honestly, it's not required of them, honestly, because it doesn't come from the top. It says, hey, and maybe their leaders haven't recognized the opportunities within them. But really, number one, you have to become an expert at what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, you probably need to find a different career path, because find something you love to do. And then it becomes very easy to become really good at what to do. I know folks that have switched careers and, I'm going to go over and do this, but they went back to what they love because they're really good at it. And it's very easy to be successful at stuff that you love to do. But building those relationships and getting everybody on the same page, there's no reason. If you're a salesperson I have a friend who is a commercial salesperson for a Northwestern appliance store. And he's probably one of the best commercial salesmen that I know. The guy is one of the top in the country for a lot of the brands that he sells for. And he has a boss as well too over him. And I know that boss travels around and is very closely coordinates a lot of those folks to, what is this guy doing so well that makes him one of the best commercial salespersons in the country? And how can we tap into that and help everybody else out? The guy that's just coming in the store to buy a dishwasher. How do we get everybody on the same level? And I think that's the piece. It's really trying to find that if you're in a corporation that sells stuff, get everybody really good at selling stuff. Recognize those talents.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. It actually leads right into kind of the next question. What do you think young leaders can do to really separate themselves into that category and become the top, in their particular field?
That's a really interesting question, because I think you really need to, as a young leader, talk to the older leaders and understand what the metric is. What is the metric that you're being graded against? Because if you don't know what you're being graded against, it's very difficult to make yourself a top 10% or a top 1%er. And truly, it's kind of odd. It's kind of funny is that I don't want to talk about. Where they generally say it's a group of ducks, or you go with the crowd, or you're with the herd, or whatever like that. To be different from the herd, just walk away from the herd and do something different.
Sure.
Figure out what it is that is. And I tell the folks in my career path, and generally the folks that do what I do, and even NCOs, because the Army is very weird. When you have, nobody can speak about this better than Mike. You know, about how the Army promotion system works. They have an evaluation that is very generic across the board, and everybody's looks the same when they come up. This guy is the best guy that ever lived. But generally, if you truly want it to be something that's definitive, what thing extra did you do? What thing did you do that none of your peers did? I mean, did you go win an award? Did you go, you know, outperform other folks? And there's ways to do it, but really, for a young leader, you need to search out those other folks too, and you never pass up an opportunity. If somebody provides you an opportunity, hey, I need you to go take on this special project, you go do it, you know, and maybe you fail horribly, but you go out and you do it, and even if you do fail horribly, you will learn amazingly. I mean, you will learn and you will be that much farther ahead than somebody else who didn't take on that project or didn't take that opportunity. It's weird how opportunity provides opportunity.
Yeah, awesome, Mark. I got 2 more questions for you.
Right on.
Kind of, we were talking about what people can do to separate themselves, and you know, how to stand out and things like that, which is great. Have you noticed, especially being in the HR field, have you noticed one behavior or trait that's kind of derailed a leader's career?
Sure. I've probably reviewed, I can probably say 10 to 20,000 evaluations within my career, easily. You know, it could be more than that. And the biggest one always relates to character. It's a character flaw. Like I said before, I had a character flaw in my timeliness or my punctual to come to work kind of thing in the morning, and you know, and that was the character, and it overrid every great thing that I did every day. I was unquestionably, and I can say this without, you know, knocking anybody else down, or because I was honestly the best record coach that ever lived. You know, but I was not the best soldier that ever lived because I couldn't come to work. So those things that keep knocking people down are character issues, because you can't. It's gonna cast a shadow on every great thing that you do.
It's amazing that you mentioned, you know, you did a lot of great things. You were known as the best HR tech, but you know, you can do a million great things, but you kind of get remembered for the one negative thing, right, that happens unless you create a new path for yourself. And so that's great that you talked about that. One more question I may have for you, and it's really not, I'm going to throw a doozy at you real quick.
Nice.
If you will.
I like softball. Softball or fastball?
Let's see if you knock it out of the park. Okay?
Right on.
What legacy would you like to leave when you end up retiring for the subordinates that ever worked for you or with you? What kind of legacy or impact would you like to leave?
That's an easy question. I mean, any legacy that I want to leave is that I have inspired somebody to do something better for themselves. As an instructor, it was very cool. I once had a student come through that, hey, and I honestly didn't remember him, which was too bad. I mean, but he was subordinate to when we handled some of the stuff. And he says, the reason I became a warrant officer is because of the way you conducted yourself, the way you stood up against stuff that you saw that wasn't right, and the way that you went about the stuff. And it was an inspiration to them. And, you know, and it's not just in my professional career, but in my personal career too. It's what I strive for. And as I get older and older, I try to think about, you know, when I'm gone, I truly realize that at some point you're probably going to be forgotten. I mean, you're just going to be a name on a tombstone. But at the same time, there's an opportunity there to remember to affect somebody. It doesn't have to be in a huge way. It can just, you know, you inspire. And I don't think there's any greater honor than to inspire somebody to improve themselves, whether it's by them going back to college, or whether it's them, hey, I want to go run a 40-miler for some ungodly reason, or you know, just, hey, I want to go be a better person, you know, honestly. And that's the only kind of legacy I'll ever need. I don't need to be remembered to be this kick-ass Army dude. I just want to be remembered as a good person, and as somebody who can be maybe modeled to, not modeled, but maybe can be inspired, and somebody that says, hey, I want to be like him. What greater thing could you ask for?
Very cool.
Awesome. Mark, man, we're cheers to that.
Cheers, brother. I'm gonna grab some more of this porter.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
great.
Cheers.
Great having you on the show. Great interview. Really
Right on.
enjoyed connecting as a personal friend, but also all the stuff you talked about. Some great nuggets in there for our listeners. I know they'll appreciate it as well. Really appreciate you coming on with us. And we want to, just to recap here, our brew of the week. We had a couple brews that we talked about, and again, we will mention all of those in the show notes. But we want to give a thanks. Tristan, shout out to our sponsor one more time.
Yep, our sponsor is Harmon Brewery and Eatery down on Pacific Avenue in Tacoma, Washington. Zach and Jesse is the owner. Zach is the manager here. We just wanted to say special thanks to them. They've been very accommodating, brought out some great beer for us to try.
Special
On a
thanks to the
ski on
table
the
behind
left.
us.
On a ski on the left.
And the ladies behind us for the background noise.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Loved the podcast.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
do want to do a special thanks to highlight the beer that we actually partook in, which is all of the kind of the beers, but
Yeah,
specifically the Puget Sound Porter I had. Mark, you had the
I had the
stout.
stout. Thank you.
The stout was
the
very-
make you go hunt stout.
Yep, make you
Right.
go hunt, eat a bunch of red meat.
Indeed.
And then Mike had the
Point
IPA.
Defiance IPA.
Indeed.
All 5 stars.
5
on our
out of
rating
5,
system.
man, on each
Easily.
of those beers.
Easily.
Awesome. Guys, come down and try it. Pacific Avenue, Harmon Brewery and Eatery.
Absolutely. So with that, folks, make sure you check out our show notes for this episode. You can find those at leadershipontap.us/010 for episode 10. Again, leadershipontap.us/010. We'll post all the show notes, a link to the Harmon Brewery and how you can connect with them. We'll include how you can get in touch with Mark via email or via his social networks, and really just kind of leave some of the great nuggets that he talked about today. We want to thank again our sponsor, and really, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would share this with your friends, folks that you think would really benefit from talking about leadership while partaking in some adult beverages. And you can do that on our show notes page again at leadershipontap.us/010. And do us a favor, if you do enjoy listening, go on to iTunes, leave us a quick review. What that does is it actually helps expose the show to others through the iTunes portal. So do that, or you can also go on Stitcher. We're on Stitcher Radio as well. And really appreciate you doing that. It helps get the word out to other veterans and aspiring leaders alike. So with that, Tristan,
Final due here. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks for having me,
Leadership
guys.
on tap
Appreciate it.
because it tastes so good.
Are we good?
That's
Are we
it.
offline?